welcome. Joining us today, we have with us Feroz Aziz to talk to us about car loans. We talked about home loans yesterday, and today's focus is going to be on car loans and whether or not one should consider those while buying their dream car. Feroz, we talked about home loans yesterday, but let's talk about car loans as well, because this is also very popular, especially in today's day and age. Talk to me about what does a car loan avail, and also a lot of banks offer ex-showroom cost of the car, right? So what is the kind of loans one can look at?
So if you're buying a car, you can actually avail 100% of the ex-showroom price.
So you don't have to put a down payment?
You don't have to put a down payment.
Right.
If you're a preferred customer with a bank, you might also get an on-road price covered on a car loan.
Also, do you get car loans for second-hand cars, or is it just new cars?
Of course, second-hand cars also get funding. Generally, when you buy a second-hand car, you take over the loan from the previous owner and then continue it.
Do you recommend us to go out and avail 100% car loan, or do you recommend making some down payment to ease the interest rate burden going ahead?
You should try and see if you can't afford to currently pay 20% of the car. That means you are overstretching anyway. So make sure that you at least pay 20%, which will check your affordability, not just the interest.
So that's the down payment that you highly recommend. If you get a complete auto loan in terms of your car, is the rates higher if there's no down payment made? Rates higher?
So rates are agnostic to how much you end up paying as your upfront cost.
Talking about rates, what is the current rate of interest in auto loans?
They are about marginally more than a home loan. They range between 10 and 10.5.
Are they fixed or floating, and what's the loan tenure usually?
The fortunate part is they're fixed because there is just 4-5 years of loans, which is what is the average period for a home loan. So they're fixed mostly, but I think that's the recommended anyway.
So if one has an option, you recommend still going with a fixed rate of interest because the tenure is not more than 5 to 7 years.
Correct.
What would you consider before you determine whether or not it's a fixed rate of interest or floating? Because in some cases, the interest rate scenario, the trajectory is lower. It may still be recommended to go after floating. I know it's not, it doesn't apply in today's day and age where we're looking at rates going up, but otherwise?
See, I think we are at the lowest car loan rates over the last decade. There could be marginal more scope of about 1% to come down. So that's the risk you wish to take or not, depending on your affordability. So floating is recommended for the next 2 years for sure, but 5-year periods, you never know.
Right. Feroz, also, what is it that's going to impact your loan taking or loan receiving ability at the end of the day? Because I believe a CIBIL score is also very important, just like it is in home loans, in auto loans too.
Correct. I think little do people know that every individual who has taken credit ever gets rated. And you should discover your rating. CIBIL is just one agency which actually rates most individuals.
And most banks approach CIBIL or use CIBIL score in order to determine whether they should be giving
700 plus is a good score.
And how does one sort of improve their CIBIL score? Is there a way to do that, Feroz?
Correct. So there are 2 reasons why your CIBIL score could be lower. Any outstanding payments, any defaults in the past impact CIBIL scores considerably. And the number of times you've defaulted on EMI payments would also impact credit cards and stuff. So sometimes what happens is there could be a misunderstanding between the bank and you, which you're disputing. So highlighting that to CIBIL brings up your credit score.
What if you're a first-time loan taker? Does that mean good news or bad news for the consumer?
So first, it's good news because you are very disciplined. Point 2, if this is your first time, then you should start with a credit card, which requires not so much of a credit history, but any other loan will require credit history. So start with a credit card and be vigilant to pay them on time, and then you will have a score to start with.
Right. What if you decide to pre-close your loan? So any foreclosure charges one needs to keep in mind if you have an auto loan?
Correct. I think most banks today have waived off the foreclosure. This is an important point to check because nobody is able to predict their finances over the next 5 years so meticulously. So make sure that your prepayment charges are negligible or nil.
Right. Let's talk about EMI and loan tenure, because both those factors are very important while determining what car you want to buy and, of course, whether or not you want to avail an auto loan.
See, I
at
think
the end of the day, it's a liability.
If you look at a thumb rule, you should not be spending more than 10 to 15% of your total surpluses on a car loan. So make sure that you check your affordability by seeing that there's a thumb rule of 10 to 15% of your total salary could be your EMI on a car.
Right. Any recommendations if one looks at luxury cars, because luxury cars usually are second-hand if bought?
Correct.
So loans are available for that too?
Yes. Most often than not, luxury cars come with a pre-owner's loan.
Which
because
moves
it's
fast
not
as well.
recommended to buy a 6-7-year-old luxury car. If it's a 2-year-old car, it is but natural that the previous owner would have taken a loan, and you can very smoothly transition it to you.
And do auto loans get executed by the car dealer, or do you have to usually do this yourself?
No, the car dealer definitely facilitates this, but you're better off actually going to your primary bank because your bargaining power is better there. Now, speaking of dealers, it's very important to understand that dealers will always upsell you
Vested
things,
interest.
accessories. So make sure that you don't top up these accessories because the dealer margin maximum is in accessories. So they increase the car's cost by 15-20% by loading a lot of accessories on you. When you speak of dealers, I think it's important.
I know you're not a car dealer, nor are you a banker, but what's the usual timeline that it takes from start to finish to avail an auto loan?
I think about 8 working days.
Well, that's all that you need to know about an auto loan. If you're looking to buy the new car, those are details that you need to follow, a to-do list right there by Feroz Aziz on what you need to keep in mind before you go out there and purchase your dream car.